Thank you, Audrey and Rusty. And now, invocation, Caslen Davis.
Please pray with me. Father God in heaven, thank you for bringing us together again, for we remain committed Rotarians, constantly conveying service above self. We are so fortunate to have President Caslen, new president of the USC, and stellar U.S. Army veteran with us today. May you bless him with confidence in knowing that you are with him. We are truly thankful for the great attendance at today's meeting and the opportunity to learn from him today. We pray that you protect our troops, our families and friends, our city, our state, our great nation, and the world. We give blessings and thanks for the food that we're about to receive and to those who've prepared it, and may it strengthen and nourish our bodies. These blessings and so many more we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Caslen. Now, ST Rotarians again. John Peterson.
I thought the crowd was here to see me. So we have some visiting Rotarians. First of all, welcome to everybody on this marvelous Monday. Isaac Carr from Sumter Sunrise. Would you stand up, please? All right, give them a round of applause. Alex Morris from Lexington. Please stand up. All right, give them a round of applause. Elizabeth Moore from Watertown, New York, Rotary of Watertown. Welcome. Julianne Wilson from, I can't read the right, 5 Points. There it is. All right, welcome Julianne. And James Smith from Lake Murray, Irmo. Welcome to you all. We're so happy to be here. Now, we generally do an introduction one by one of all the visiting folks here, but we have well over 20 people visiting today, so here's what we're going to do. In order to maximize the time that President Caslen has, and we know everybody's interested in that, if everybody that is a visitor today, if you would please stand up en masse. Welcome to you.
Health and Happiness, Bob Warren, and Monday Sept, Frank Brown, as an announcement afterwards.
Received word from one of our members about Joe Azar, who died. I think he was a friend of a lot of people in town and in this community, and our prayers with the family. Well, football this last weekend, and Clemson is still riding high in the national rankings. I was doing a little reading about Clemson, and I discovered something very interesting. When they were founded as a land grant college way back there, they founded the institution. It was just called Clem College. And soon they decided that they needed to add something to reflect the values and the academic excellence of this new institution. And so they appointed a committee of distinguished faculty members who came up with the perfect solution. They added an S for chivalry, an O for honor, and an N for knowledge. Now you know. You ever feel like, how many of you ever feel like you kind of left behind sometimes? Do you? Yeah. I do. Feel sometimes like everybody's getting ahead of me. And it was brought specifically to my attention when I was thinking about this. When my grandfather was 80, his oldest grandchild, which was me, graduated from college. When my father was 80, his oldest grandchild graduated from high school. When I was 80, my oldest grandchild graduated from kindergarten. Speaking of children, this young couple got married by a Catholic priest, and they were married. After about a year, when they were getting married, they saw the priest at Mass one Sunday. The priest said, "How are things going?" They said, "Going fine, Father, but you know, we want children, and none are on the way yet." He said, "Well, glad you're doing well." It was about a year later, the second year, they saw the priest after Mass, and he said, "How you doing?" The same thing. They said, "We're doing fine, Father, but we want children. There are none." The third year, after Mass one day, they saw him, and he said, "How you doing? No children yet?" "No, no children yet." We said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'm being reassigned. I'm leaving this parish, and I'm being reassigned to Rome. I will be at the Vatican. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I will go to St. Peter's, and I will light a candle for you. And when that candle burns, it will burn daily, and the candle burning will send up prayers for you to have children." And she said, "Well, that's good." And after 3 years, he was reassigned back to this parish, to home. Saw the couple, and he decided he'd go visit them, and he went to the house, and the young woman answered the door, and he said, "Well, I'm back, and that candle has been burning every day. Prayers have been going up for you to have children." He said, "How's it going?" She said, "Well, the first year you were gone, I gave birth to a beautiful daughter." "Saints be praised," he said. "And the second year you were gone, we had twins." "Saints be praised," he said. "And the third year you were gone, I gave birth to triplets." He said, "Well, I must congratulate your husband. Where is he?" She said, "He's not here." "Well, where is he?" He said, "He's gone to Rome to blow out that damn candle." George Washington Carver was a great scientist. He grew up in an era when the accomplishments of African Americans didn't receive a whole lot of recognition. But here's something he said that I want to leave with you. "How far you go in life depends on your being tender with the young, compassionate with the aged, sympathetic with the striving, and tolerant of both the weak and the strong. Because someday in life, you will have been all of these." That's all.
Thank you, Bob. Is he not a hard act to follow? Frank, did you want to say something about the Alzheimer's, the card fund?
Thank you. My apologies for being a little late today. A couple of weeks ago, we indicated that dementia is a general term for Alzheimer's, and that there are a variety of other kinds of dementia, and the Alzheimer's represents 60 to 80% of those. Today, I thought I would tell you about one that is considered a rare form, but you see it fairly frequently, it seems like. That's early onset Alzheimer's. Early onset Alzheimer's occurs among people under 65, principally in the 40s and 50s, and represents about 5% of the 5.8 million people who have Alzheimer's. So that number adds up to almost 300,000 people with that. I know a couple of people right here in town whose daughters are experiencing that at the moment. It's a particularly critical kind of Alzheimer's because it hits people younger. They often have responsibility for caring for children and or caring for parents with other kinds of either dementia or other illnesses. So it's a really serious kind of problem. So we hope you'll keep that in mind as you see those blue buckets in front of you, and do your part to support research for Alzheimer's so that we can end this disease. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know whether any of you have had time to read the Rotarian magazine that came out this month, but it was a great message inside from our Rotary International President, Mark Maloney, regarding polio and Rotary's success in fighting polio. And he says, Rotary's long-term sustained battle against polio has defined our organization for decades. We have a right to be proud of all that we have accomplished through the years. Rotary and our global polio eradication initiative have reduced the incidences of polio by more than 99.9% worldwide. That is huge. But we're so close and yet still far away. We've got much work yet to do. And Cynthia Giles would now like to come talk to us a little bit about our gala on October 24th.
Good afternoon, everyone. Are y'all still awake? So on October 24th, we are doing World Polio Day. This is an international Rotary event, and we as a district are putting together a fun day for us here. We're going to have beer tasting from 2 different breweries here in town. One of them is going to be Columbia Craft, the other is River Rat. We are also going to have games set up to help draw awareness to what it is we are doing as Rotarians worldwide to help eradicate polio. We're, like she said, less than 1% away from full eradication, but because of that, it's hard to get through and actually finish the project. When it doesn't affect us in our society any longer, we have a tendency to kind of push it away. So what we need is your guys' help. We need volunteers and sponsors. If you would like to sponsor this event to help us put it on so we can make it fun for thousands of people, as well as help grow our membership base, then please let me know. If you would like to volunteer or have a few people that would like to help volunteer to put on this event, again, please let me know. You can find me afterwards, after our luncheon, or you can email me. Most of you should have my email address. I email you weekly. Thank you.
It's going to be a great day, so I appreciate all your efforts to help us put it together. And now, to introduce our speaker, Susan Elkins.
Thank you very much, President Louisa. Good afternoon, everybody. It's such a privilege to have our new USC President and First Lady, Bob and Shelley Caslen, with us today. Bob and Shelley have been married for 42 years, and we're delighted to have them in their new roles at USC. So now let me tell you a little bit about President Caslen before he speaks so that you can know his rich history. Robert L. Caslen Jr. was appointed as the 29th President of the University of South Carolina on August 1st, 2019. Bob, as he chooses to be called, is a United States veteran who served in the U.S. Army for 43 years, and his military career culminated in 2018 as the 59th Superintendent President of the United States Military Academy at West Point. Under his direction as Superintendent, the Academy was recognized as the #1 public college in the nation, #1 public college in the nation by Forbes magazine, and the #1 public college by U.S. News and World Report. Through the establishment of Centers of Excellence at West Point, Bob developed an integration between Army applied problem sets and West Point research and intellectual capital. He stood up the Army Cyber Institute to build skills and Army leaders required for the new cyber fight. He won support of Army leadership and of Congress to build over $2 billion in capital expenditures. Also, working with the Director of Athletics, he revamped the athletic program and made it self-sustaining. And he created partnerships with the NCAA and Department of Defense to conduct research into preventing and treating concussions and traumatic brain injury. And fulfilling a pledge he made soon after becoming superintendent, he led a sweeping reversal of Army's football program and developed a culture of excellence through winning with character, culminating in Army defeating Navy in 2016 for the first time in 14 years, and beating both Air Force and Navy in 2017 to win the Commander-in-Chief's trophy for the first time in 21 years. So we're going to get some attention with football, right? All right, so before becoming the West Point superintendent, I'll get back to the serious stuff. Robert Caslen served as the Chief of the Office of Security Cooperation in Iraq, where he served as the senior military commander after the drawdown of U.S. and Allied forces in 2011. Caslen held several other notable positions, including commanding general of Multinational Division North during Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Chief of Staff of both the 101st Airborne Division and the 10th Mountain Division, where he also served as the division's Chief of Staff during Operation Enduring Freedom. He served in combat and overseas deployments in Operation Desert Storm, Desert Shield, JTFB in Honduras, and Operation Uphold Democracy and the United Nations mission in Haiti. A graduate of the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, Caslen holds a Master of Business Administration degree from Long Island University and a Master of Science degree in Industrial Engineering from Kansas State University. He is a member of the Kansas State Engineering College Hall of Fame, recognized for a Lifetime of Service Award from the American Red Cross, and was selected as the Honorary Rock of the Year Award for his efforts in diversity as the Superintendent of West Point. He also earned the 2018 Gerald R. Ford Legends Award for Lifetime Service, the NCAA Theodore Roosevelt Award for a former NCAA student athlete who is a distinguished citizen of national reputation, exemplifying the ideals to which collegiate athletic programs and amateur sports competition are dedicated. And he was recognized with an honorary doctorate from Long Island University. As you can see from this biography, Bob and Shelley have a lifetime of exemplifying our Rotary motto of service above self. So please join me in welcoming the 29th President of the University of South Carolina, Bob Caslen, to the Rotary Club of Columbia.
I hope you feel the same way when I'm all done. Some people ask me, how can I be married to Shelley for 42 years? And I tell her she was 5 years old when I married her. And we're not going to wait 14 years to beat Clemson. Hopefully, sorry about that, any Clemson graduates. Enjoy it while you can right now. We are coming. Congressman Wilson, I understand you're in the room, sir. We're honored that you're here, and sir, thanks so much for being here for this, and thanks for all your great support and leadership as well. Thank you, ma'am. President Louisa Campbell, honored to have you. Ladies and gentlemen and guests of the Columbia Rotary Club, truly an honor for me to be here. I absolutely love the Rotary. I love what your mission is. I love what you stand for. Having served in the United States Army for 43 years and understanding what service is all about. One of our values in the Army is selfless service, but exemplified with the Rotary Club better than anything. Susan, I want to say thank you very much for your wonderful and generous introduction. At some point, you ought to get Susan up here and let her tell you about how she is really transforming lives and really making a huge difference in the Palmetto College, reaching out across students across the entire state in so many different ways. So thank you very much, Susan. As I said, it's really an honor to be with you for really two significant reasons. First, many of you are part of the University of South Carolina's extended family. We are in the profession of higher education, and in any profession you have a client and you have a relationship with your client that is built on trust. And you all as members in your affiliation with Columbia for the University of South Carolina, but the fact that you are all South Carolina residents, you are our client. Because as a flagship university for South Carolina, it is important for us to have a relationship with all of you. I do recognize a number of you, though, are alum. Some of you are parents of current and former students, and many others just support our mission through your business and your community engagement. Whether it's a direct support of the university, or you're providing internships for our students, or you're partnering with us on research and innovative projects, we are very grateful for all of your support. And as I said, the second reason that I'm really thrilled to be with you today is because of your mission is about service, and service above self, and how you deal with that. When people ask me why I came to the University of South Carolina, and as many of you know, under some really challenging circumstances, the answer is because of our students. This next generation of young men and women truly inspire me. They understand already at 18 and 19 years old what service above self is all about. It's already ingrained into their DNA. They come to the university not only to take the requisite hours of instruction, not only to earn a degree, not only to get a job, but they're also eager to give back to their communities. They want to make a difference in the world. They want to be part of something that's bigger than themselves. For someone like me all my grandparents were immigrants from Italy in search of a better tomorrow, and whose parents really instilled in me an appreciation for education and had a dedicated life of service. The students here at the University of South Carolina desire to learn, their desire to engage, to serve, and to give back, and really to be a part of that and to enable the programs and resources for their dreams and their desire to give back is all I need. But that said, my primary objective today is twofold. One is to share a little bit about some of the strategic direction that I'm focusing on as a new president of the university. And second, to share a perspective on economic development that helps the university and supports this local economy here. We do not begin either of these two efforts with a blank slate. Since I've been here, I could not be more impressed with our faculty. They are dedicated and thoughtful administrators that we have, like Susan Elkins. They're really, truly excellent in a number of our programs, and they really enable our university to thrive. And one of the great manifestations of this success is a group of freshmen and transfers and residents bridge that came into the university with this new semester. 8,700 new students altogether. It's really a highly accomplished group, and I'm told it's one of the most productive, most astonishing groups that freshmen that we've had in many, many years. Minorities, for example, make up 24% of the new student body. Our African American enrollment increased by 7%. Our Latino or Hispanic enrollment increased by 24%. The test scores are really the highest we've ever seen. The average freshman SAT is 1273, if you're checking on that, which is a pretty astonishing number in itself. And those students that enter the honors program, 594 of them in all, average their SAT at 1473, which is flat amazing if you think about it. From a guy who didn't even break 1,000, I'm pretty impressed. Well, this class includes students from all 50 states. They have students coming from 30 countries, but it also has 5,200 of the 8,000 from South Carolina, which is the highest enrollment we've ever had from the Palmetto State students. But this tells us that we really have a competitive program that students throughout the state, the country, and the world, they want to be a part of. Their diversity and their academic talent and their desire to make a mark on the world make the university better and stronger. To prove some of this, last week's U.S. News rankings showed that the university's reputation is rising nationally. We were ranked #1 for a first-year student experience. We were ranked #8 for our living and learning communities, and our School of Business was ranked #1 in international business for the 21st year in a row. So as the 29th president, that gives me, as a new president, as a freshman president, a great foundation of which to work. Since day one, people have asked, what's your vision for the university system? What's your mission? What are your priorities? And what's your strategy? And as I sit here with having been here just a little over a month, assessing where we are in terms of where we need to be and understanding and reflecting on that, I immediately feel that we need to be, as a vision, the preeminent higher education institution in the nation. Now, preeminent means the best, so people ask me, where are you the best? And I'll go into that a little bit. But frankly, you know, the opposite of preeminence is average. And another word for average is mediocre. And as a university president, I want to instill a culture of excellence, where everybody, no matter if it's on the athletic field, whether it's in the classroom, wherever it is, that everybody feels that they have the ability to perform consistently to the upper level of their potential, where they're out there stretching and growing and making mistakes and learning from those mistakes. And as they grow, they become better and they become stronger. But the vision is not just my vision, and I recognize that. This has got to be a collective vision. It's a collective vision that, as I make the assessment, I begin to receive feedback from the students and feedback from the faculty and the administration, that we collectively will build a collaborative vision on where this needs to go. And that's what leadership really does. It's not about commanding and controlling and directing. It's about listening and understanding and hearing and building empathy. And a little bit of humility, as I recognize I don't have all the answers, but I want to learn from this incredibly talented group of professors and administrators that we have. So much of my first month and a half, as I said, on the job has been reaching out, engaging, and listening to thousands of people, students and faculty, alumni, contributors, industry, government officials as well. And I've learned that although there may be differing opinions out there, no one that I've talked to, no one wavers on their love for the University of South Carolina. So with pen in hand and a notebook, I have been taking note of their ideas and their aspirations. First, as a flagship university and the client of the American people, I recognize that we do have some challenges across the state. Working with our K through 12 students to enable them and to be able to encourage them to be eligible so that they have access to different colleges and universities throughout the state. And I think our system, because I'm not only the president of the University of South Carolina, but a president of the system itself, it includes 3 comprehensive colleges and the 2-year colleges and Palmetto College, has the great ability to be able to work on access and affordability and eligibility so that we can engage and inspire students in K through 12 across the entire state and develop relationships with our students and who become mentors and role models to them, to inspire them to see higher education as a means, as a venue, so that they want to make themselves competitive for higher education, and then we find them coming back to our universities and colleges in seek of a higher degree. I've also learned that most of us want to be better, and we want to excel and want to become what I've referred to, as I mentioned, the preeminent research university. And here's what some of the members of the feedback that have come my way. For example, students will tell me that they're interested in campus life issues, and they want to be prepared for the jobs of the future, to contribute to their communities and society and have a university where they can grow as individuals. The faculty and the feedback they provided said that they have aspirations centered on creating a university of tremendous research capabilities, to really ante up our research programs, to create an environment of academic excellence. As I talk to parents, parents have told me that they're very keen on safety of their children who are entrusted to us. As they look at tuition and fees, they expect them to be affordable. And they want their child upon graduation to get a decent job and ultimately off their parents' payroll. Government officials want a quality product and they want to limit the burden on taxpayers. Alumni want to be proud of their alma mater. They want the reputation of the university to grow, and they want this university to thrive. And yes, like me, they also want to beat Clemson. And as we think about all of this in terms of a vision and a strategy, it's important to me that our approach ought to be student-centric and also future-focused. So student-centric means that as we develop policies and carry out programs, we have to look at these in terms of the second and the third and the fourth order effects for our students. And what are the policies for their best interests? And as the higher education landscape continues to change, we don't want to be a 20th century university in a 21st century. We want to be ahead of that change. We want to be a 22nd century university in a 21st century, ahead of the bow wave, so that we're not surviving in this change of landscape, we're thriving within it. A couple of my priorities are focused in these same areas. First and foremost, the first priority, and this is in terms of excellence, is academic excellence. I think it's important to make the University of South Carolina a place where top thinkers, top scholars, innovators want to come here, want to stay here, and want to contribute. As I mentioned, it's important that we have research excellence, and research excellence is one of my priorities as well. And where we end up going with research, as a minimum, we have great opportunities with the Department of Defense here within our own state and neighboring states and Department of Energy. And I think research gives us tremendous opportunities to really move it to the next level. And my third priority is make sure that we represent the men and women of this state as a flagship university. And that is to make sure that we have a good, solid, diverse, and inclusive program. Diversity is tremendously important, not only because we represent our nation, because we represent our state, but it's also important because a diverse slate brings diverse ideas. And rather than looking at a problem in a myopic way, diversity allows us to look at it from many different facets so that we consider them all to come up with best solutions. At West Point, for example, our African American percentage of student involvement or student body when I got there was 8%. And we worked this hard. And when I finally left after 5 years, our African American population was up to 16%. And that's why one of my first acts since I've been here was to take the Office of Diversity and Inclusion and elevate it to the vice president level so that it serves the entire university, not only the students, but also the faculty. But frankly, you can talk diversity all you want, but unless you're willing to put some action behind your words, you're just really another talker. And you'll see that we'll put some action behind our words here. And as we design our strategy, we're also addressing a number of essential organizational roles. And part of that is reviewing and filing open and interim roles. And as we conduct searches, we are not only seeking the best talent, we also want to hire people of character who can accelerate our vision to be a preeminent research institution. And in that light, no role is more important than selecting our provost. And the provost right now and the search committees that are in place are tremendously important. This is a national search. I've asked our faculty senate to be in charge of this, to put the search team together. Our search team is led by two distinguished professors, Dr. Gloria Butte and Dr. Tom Vogt. And I'm confident they'll have a very diverse slate and offer up the very best available talent in the country. Given the complexity of governance across the university system, many government and regulation interactions, responsibility for accreditation and organizations, I felt it was also necessary to create an Office of Ethics and Compliance. And at the day's end, we want no one to doubt our commitment to do the right thing, to do the harder right, and make sure that we do it the right way. So beyond the new roles and positions, we're also getting our heads around budgets and operational issues, and that in itself is a big deal. In that, in many ways, we're just not a university. We're a very large arm of the state government and one that has a symbiotic relationship with those of you in business. That said, I remember when President Reagan said, the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. But we have 3 big priorities for new capital spending, and each have a very positive impact on the university of our students and on the economy of Columbia and the state. Soon we're going to break ground for phase 1 of a campus village, and this will transform the south side of the campus, and ultimately in 18 acres there'll be 7 buildings, 4 residence halls, a garage, restaurants, and retail stores. The first phase will not only modernize and upgrade student housing, it will infuse $240 million into the local economy. We're also looking very carefully to build a new student union to replace Russell Hall, which originally was built in 1954. And as the students tell me, it reminds them of a building that was built in, according to them, pre-internet days. We're also looking very carefully of the University of South Carolina School of Medicine facility, which is now at Garner's Ferry Road, and to move it closer to downtown in the university campus. The eventual goal is to build a hub for all of our clinical research involving students, faculty, health partners, and private industry. And not only will this up the university's reputation as a leader in public health, it will help meet our state's profound medical and public health needs and to have a very positive impact economically here in Columbia. Gary Becker, the Nobel Prize winning economist back in the 1960s, spoke of human capital. He argued that what happens in universities like the University of South Carolina is not simply about education. It is about fueling economies. The Moore School of Business conducted a study 2 years ago, and this is pretty amazing when I first read this. It showed that the university system contributes $5.5 billion to the state's annual economy, with more than $4 billion right here in Columbia. The total impact on goods and services here in Richland County alone is estimated at about $700 million annually. And that creates a better business climate for all of you and for all of us. And it adds tax dollars to the state, the county, and the city of Columbia. Another way we fuel the local and state economy is through the university's Office of Economic Engagement. And since its inception in 2013, 6 years ago, it has created hundreds of millions of dollars in direct and indirect economic value. The ongoing research partnership with the Office of Economic Engagement includes a wide range of activities, from advanced computing and artificial intelligence to innovation applications for the aerospace. Partners include IBM, Siemens, NASA, the United States Army, Samsung, Boeing, Capgemini, Prisma Health, and others. And what this does for the state and local economy is remarkable. What this can do for intellectual property and commercialization of our research and the connection of our students to the jobs of the future really can be astonishing. So let me conclude, and then I would like to open it up for questions, by saying that what we are about as a university is working with everyone to achieve excellence. Indeed, if someone asked me for one word to sum up our mission, the word I would choose is excellence. In my mind, we at the University of South Carolina are all about, as I said, creating a culture of excellence. I want us to excel academically. I want us to excel in research. I want us to excel in service across the entire state and all our communities. I want us to excel at creating an economic engine for our state and for the city of Columbia. I want us to excel in the classroom, I want us to excel on the field of play, and I want us to excel at helping our students achieve their dreams. I want the next generation to do what so many of you have so ably done, and what you do every day, and that is to put service above self. So thank you for inviting me here today. Thank you for your tireless work and support of a better community, and thank you for your support of our university. I look forward to working with all of you and to making our university, our city, our region, and our state the very special place that we all aspire it to be, because success requires all of us. So thank you very much.
I'm sure there are questions, so we will take a look at about 10 minutes.
Okay, questions?
What are we going to do about the cost of tuition for our students and the mounting debts that they're having to take on in order to get an education?
Did you say where are we with that? Well, the good news is, as I was told, is that we did not increase tuition this past year for the first time in, what, 17 years or something like that? And I have no intention of increasing tuition next year either. Matter of fact, I've been instructed and mentored not to increase tuition. But really, when you stop and think about it, that's a fair statement. Because if you're going to, you know, some people say, well, you ought to think about running a university as a business, which means you have revenue that comes in and you have expenses, and you really have got to moderate and generate revenue. And in some cases, find innovative ways to generate revenue, because if you're not going to have tuition as your only revenue source, then you really have got to be innovative and think through how you can generate revenue with research, how you can generate revenue through donations, and other appropriations. You see, so revenue can be generated, and then at the same time, we need to be good citizens of the state of South Carolina and watch our expenses, so that we're not expending frivolously. And this, you know, that type of assessment of our expenses at any time is really good. So I don't have any problem with, you know, holding tuition where it is right now. I think it's important for the state. I think it's also important for access and also for eligibility. You know, there's young men and women out there that really aspire to come to higher education who are unable to because they can't afford it. And working with the system, I think there are programs we can put together to enable them to afford higher education, not by going into heavy debt with student loans. There's ways that we can work through scholarships, but there's also ways that we can keep our costs down so that those families that are in those underprivileged and underrepresented areas, rural areas in the city itself, can afford higher education. And it's important for us to make ourselves accessible to all of the state and the citizens of South Carolina. Yes, sir.
Yes, thanks so much for being here. Over the weekend, I was talking with a friend of mine who is in graduate school at the university, and he pointed out that the University of South Carolina is the only school in our state which does not teach our founding documents, and that we're actually in a violation of state law for that reason right now. Is there any discussion about going on and doing that, about teaching the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, no, that's a fair question, because I understand that's a law from 1924, and all of the universities have a requirement to teach what you said. So what I've asked is, let's take a look at our current curriculum and see where those things are taught and where they're not. And some of those topics can be taught through other core curriculum courses like history, U.S. history, and some of the other core curriculum. And I'm told a number of the requirements of the law are actually taught. It's not a specific course, 3-credit course itself. What the law requires to be taught is integrated already into many other of the core curriculum courses. So it's probably fair that we show the public where those are actually taught so that we have the assurance that we're in compliance with the law, and where we're not at the same time. So I'm not yet assured that all of them are taught, but I am assured that many of them, of those requirements, are integrated into other core curriculum courses that are out there. And then there's also an effort to try to look at that law to see if it's still applicable with higher education requirements today. It may be, it may not be, but it's worth looking at. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, wait, hold on, because I promised she would be next. So. Yes, ma'am.
In your speech, you said a lot about advancing research. Are there certain fields of research that you personally have a sweet spot for, or a certain project that you would like to advance?
Yes, well, you know, since I've already been there, so when I was at West Point, I had the responsibility to create the Army Cyber Institute. It was a $25 million project with an annual funding of $7 million from the Department of the Army. The Army Cyber Institute had two responsibilities. One is to create public-private partnerships, and two was to learn how to shoot ahead of the duck and not behind the duck when it comes to cybersecurity. In other words, do research and figure out where the cyber community is going, where the vulnerabilities are and risks are, and then to shoot ahead of it. So I wrote him a note since I became the president and said, I was your president before, and I used to assign you research responsibilities. Would you now consider the University of South Carolina as one of your partners? And they said, absolutely. So that's good. And then on top of that, Fort Gordon is just on the other side of the South Carolina border, as you know, near Aiken. And they have 3 cyber commands, one for training and education, but they also have the Army Cyber Operational Command, and they're the ones that go out there and do operational requirements, and then of course they have a classified command. And USC Aiken already has a partnership in some of the instruction that they give there, which is good. But I know that the Deputy Commanding General for the Army Cyber Command, and I asked him if he would develop a partnership with South Carolina. He says, well, we have a partnership with the University of Georgia and one with the city of Atlanta. I said, would you consider a partnership with the University of South Carolina and the city of Columbia? And he said, absolutely. So I think it's next week or whatever, I'm going down there to visit with him, and we're going to see what we can set up. We also had the TRADOC commander from the Department of Defense visit us, and he's very interested in small nuclear energy programs on the field. And so we're in the process of setting that research grant and put that together. And finally, the Army stood up a 4-star command called the Army Feature Command. And the deputy commander is Jim Richardson, a good friend of mine, but he's also a University of South Carolina graduate. So I called him up, I said, hey Jim, you know, you're a graduate of South Carolina, and you're in charge of the Futures Command, which means you're in charge of all acquisition of all Army programs. He says, I am. He said, well, how can I help you? I said, when we start plugging into some of these, federal grants and stuff, he said, I'd love to work with you. He said, I have one requirement though. He goes, I want you to invite me to the South Carolina, Texas A&M game and flip the coin at the beginning of the game. I said, you got it. You're going to flip the coin and make sure it happens. But that's just, the Department of Defense. We're also at Savannah River, working with the Department of Energy and building those up. But, if every one of our units, every one of our colleges is going to do research, it's incumbent upon them, and they know that, is to really press and work hard and to expand their research opportunities. And they cannot be satisfied with the status quo. Our goal is to be an AAU invitee to research. That's a preeminent research organization of universities that's out there. I'm not sure we'll ever get an invitation. We invited 4 schools over the last 20 years. But whether we get the invitation or not, we should at least make ourselves eligible.
It's a nice bar to shoot for.
Yeah, so we have a ways to go, but we're not that far away, actually, as was explained to me. But we're going to focus on this and make sure that we put our programs and align our resources to make it happen. Sir.
Columbia is becoming increasingly a aerospace technologies hub. Have you any plans to engage and develop that with the new incentive for Space Force and things like that?
I have not explored that personally yet, but I think that's something that, just from what you just said just now, is something that we definitely need to be looking at. And you said Boeing, I think? Is that?
Well, it's become a hub for a lot of different aerospace technologies companies. They're kind of, it's becoming a magnet in this region. It's becoming more and more developed as we speak.
Well, if that's one of the areas that's being developed, then Bill over there is involved with our innovative stuff. But so we're going to be focused on innovation. We're going to be focused on, like I said, getting ahead of the ball wave on some of these things. But this is a trend that is going on, and we're going to definitely get involved with it. You know, so I know Bill's taking good notes. Thanks. Bill Kirkland, by the way. That's well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for having us.
It was such an honor to have you, both of you, here with us today. We appreciate your time, and this is a small token of appreciation for us, but if you would stand. In addition, our board of directors has voted to award you an honorary membership in our club, not only because we thank you for being here today, and we're very proud to have you, but it's what you've done for this country already and what we know that you will do for the university, this community, the state, and alumni everywhere. Thank you. President Mason.
Next week, we have Beth DeSanta. She's the CEO of Fact Forward. Fact Forward changed its name from the South Carolina Campaign to Prevent Teen Pregnancy.
Wonderful, thank you. And now, let's close in song. Rusty.